Okay, so what we're going to talk about, we'll talk about the MCP program. And so this piggybacks along with what Dr. Holliday presented in the graduate seminar course, which was for no credit, but it did take up your Saturday, right? And so we'll talk about this a little bit, and hopefully, oh, we have one more person. That's okay. That's good. I'm gonna let Nicole in to our meeting, and we may have others show up too. I was hopeful to go ahead and get started now, but Nicole, you're just joining us. Welcome to our MCP orientation. So Master of Counseling Psychology orientation. So as I told them, I'm going to record this for other students that didn't get a chance to attend. I know I missed you, Nicole. I was in residency when when Dr. Holliday presented to Enid students. And so this is a follow-up to Dr. Holliday's basically master's orientation. So here are the highlights of the Master of Counseling Psychology program. You're welcome to take notes, and I will share this PowerPoint later if you want it. So first of all, welcome formally. You know, this is supposed to be your formal welcome from me. You did get the letter and everything. So here I am live saying welcome, congratulations. You'll notice that right off the bat, we do not require the MAT right now, given COVID and that type of situation. So you don't have to worry about taking that. The graduate committee has decided to waive that for applicants for right now. And I'm assuming each one of you have submitted those because you've all received a letter based on your interviews. So welcome to the program. Those were the requirements, the nuts and bolts. Here are some important things to think about as you get started. So Dr. Holliday spent an hour and a half going over the graduate catalog. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hit to the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes of what we need to know. First of all, this is important. If you haven't done it, sometime before the end of summer, please select a graduate committee. And so a graduate committee, what they will do is you'll select, well, and you really don't have a very big pool of folks to choose from right now. You have me, Dr. Farrell, Dr. Wydick, and Dr. McMillan to choose from. Candace Bird, who is teaching for us in the spring, her family has increased in size and she has stepped aside from teaching. And so we are actively looking for another professor right now. So we are in the process of hiring. So I've got some applications. We have 8 applications so far, and our applications are really going to be centered on clinical skill and clinical expertise. I'm the only person in the program right now who is licensed, and typically we've had at least 2. Dr. Lee Kirby was licensed in Oklahoma prior to Candace Bird coming to our program. So rather than have me take every one of our clinical classes and be able to teach you how to become counselors through my own experience, we are really looking for folks that have clinical knowledge and skills to help us along the way. In absence of that, we do have adjuncts like Shannon Landwehr, who's doing our assessment class, and Sean Byrne, who's doing an addictions class for us, who's an LADC. So if in absence of having faculty with experience, if you have a clinical course, I'm going to lean on adjuncts who have counseling skills. Okay, I'll come back to that graduate committee in just a minute. I want to get through this slide. And as I told them, Nicole, at the end, please write your questions down. At the end, we'll have a Q&A when I get done. Your next step after you take care of that graduate committee form, and I'll show you what that is in just a minute, will be to put together a plan of study. Now, your plan of study is basically looking at the next 2-3 years of your life and trying to plot out and plan when you take different courses. And so, are all of you on the LADC track? Nicole, I think you're just LPC, right? No, you're LADC as well? Okay.
No.
You're just LPC.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. In that case, Tammy and Alicia, their plans of study are pretty simple.
Well, ours is dual. We're doing the LPC and the LADC.
And so because you're doing both, all 6 of your electives are chosen for you. The reason for that is because all 5 of our addiction classes have to go into those elective spots. So you meet criteria for both licenses. So your plan of study will be really simple. All you'll want to make sure is that you get certain courses in the right order, because we do have a couple of prerequisites I'm going to talk about. Nicole, yours becomes more complex, but more flexible. So you'll have the more ability to choose things that interest you and what you want to do as a counselor, and pick those classes that'll benefit you in that way, in specific ways. And so there's more flexibility. You'll also want to make sure that you choose classes, at least a couple of classes in sequence, to make sure you don't miss out on prerequisites. So if you listen to anything I say today, if you forget everything else, what I'm about to say is the most important thing. Be sure that when fall comes around, fall of 20, everybody gets enrolled in individual counseling. We only offer that one time a year in the fall. If you miss it, that can put you a whole year behind in your program, because you have to have individual counseling before you can have 4 other classes, actually 5 other classes. So that will be held, I already know in the top of my head. Whatever you need to do to carve and scrape out time on Tuesday evenings from 6:55 to 9:45, that is when individual counseling is typically held in the fall, and I'm going to stand by that it's going to be in the same time for this fall. Just make sure you've got time Tuesday evening. You know, a lot of times we have more flexibility. In this case, we don't. We need to get you into individual counseling now, basically for the fall. Based on that, you'll go into strategies and techniques in the spring, because strategies and techniques had to have individual counseling first. And before you can take supervised experience, you have to take strategies and techniques. So this slide right here, I just number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to really take, out of everything in our program, take these 5 classes in sequence, because these are your clinical classes. These will help you actually with in-the-office clinical skill. You'll learn theories in individual counseling, and every other one of these classes is applied experiential learning, which means you're practicing being a counselor in these classes. Let me stop there, because I want to make sure that's clear. What questions do you have about these 5 classes on this particular slide? Bless you. None? Okay, I'm glad I was clear. Oh, go ahead, Alicia.
You're going to say the statistics of assessment, is that something that needs to be taken this fall as well?
There's more flexibility there, and I'm glad you brought that up, Alicia. It is a prerequisite class for the second leg, the assessment, achievement, personality, and cognitive. You have more flexibility there because there aren't 5 classes that come after individual. You know what I mean? There's just the one. And so hypothetically, if you wanted to wait till next year to take statistics of assessment, you could, and then in the spring or summer follow up and take this, what this is, what these 2 classes at the bottom are. This one's more theory, and then the actual assessment class, you'll be giving people assessments. You'll be practicing giving assessments.
I actually think I know I'm enrolled in ethics, statistics of assessment, and individual counseling for the fall. I think Tammy's the same ones.
Then you both are in excellent shape, because really that opens you up the rest of the program, except for these 4 courses. That really gives you a lot of flexibility of when you can take different classes in the program, getting those out of the way. Nicole, do we have you in fall yet?
I am not enrolled, but I do have my plan of study. So I was going to submit that soon for you to
Okay.
look over.
Very cool. Yeah, so these are the only prerequisite classes. Group also, and before you're supposed to take group counseling, you're supposed to take individual as well, so that you could actually throw group in there somewhere, but it doesn't have to go in any other type of sequence. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the next slide. What the program is lined out to do, it's lined out to help you in two capacities. Number one, we want you to be a good counselor. And number two, in order to be a good counselor, you have to pass a national counselor exam, or if you're an LADC, that IC and RC exam. So we prepare you with the course content. We give you the content necessary to pass those exams. We have a very high pass rate. For the NCE, it's around 90-95%. 9 out of 10 students sit and pass the first time. We have a very high pass rate for the NCE. The IC and RC, Tammy and Alicia, I'll be honest, is harder. The overall pass rate for the IC and RC exam is around 50%. That's nationwide. And so our students do pass that. I've never had a student not be able to pass it eventually, but I have had a few students miss it the first time. When it comes down to it, there's a huge thick book, and I have access to it to study. And honestly, I will, when I teach the addiction courses, I try to pull out and tell you, okay, pay attention to this, pay attention to that, pay attention to that. There's another thing that is tricky with the IC and RC. Folks are a year out of school most times before they can take it. The IC and RC exam is only given after you've got 2,000 hours post-degree.
And that's for the LADC?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, but the CADC hours, because we both have started that already.
That'll help. So if you can get 2,000 hours under your belt during school, you can sit immediately after graduating for that exam. Nicole, you'll have to take the NCE just as soon as you can after you graduate, the National Counselor exam. Keep all that information fresh. They now require it before you can go under supervision. So when you come to, so that's the, that's the nuts and bolts with the test. When people come to us to go back to school, typically they're called to, I haven't had many students that have been pushed into being a counselor. There's some internal drive that says, hey, I want to go help people. I'm called because I want to help kids. I want to help people with addictions. I want to help people. And so a lot of us come to the table with these lay helper skills, meaning that you at some point have been you have somehow like counseled somebody in their life, whether it be a niece, a nephew, brother, sister, daughter, you've been a helper at some point. One of the hardest things for students to break are those habits they develop as a friend helper. And friend helpers say things like, oh, I'm so sorry. You can do it. You can get better. I know it. I have faith in you. And so that's called being a cheerleader in a way. So we really try in the first couple of experiential classes to break people of that habit. And they're like, I don't like that because that's who I am. That may help in a short capacity, help somebody feel better for that 30 minutes, but that's not helping them with self-discovery, and that's not helping with their own self-growth over the long haul. It's not necessarily empowering them. So there's oftentimes when people come in after the first year, people get a little bit of, man, am I doing the right thing? Golly, I thought this was going to be different. Hang in there. I just encourage you. That they've looked at thousands of counseling students over many years, and they've really come up with these 6 stages of development. Very quickly, you'll enter a beginning student stage and start to learn. A lot of people like focus in on one technique or one theory. I really try to get people to branch out by the time they're an advanced student and consider multiple theories. And by the time you graduate, I really want you to be kind of a novice professional. To be honest, when most people graduate, they're still very Rogerian, they're still very unconditional positive regard, and not a whole lot of other skill. That's okay. That's why we have 2,000 and 3,000 hours of supervision for you to develop those skills. Before COVID hit, we were working on MCP handbook to kind of lay this out for you to read in detail. My student assistant was laid off because we couldn't house her up here, so that's still in the works. When you come to the end of the program, so you're nearing the end of your 60 hours, and you'll be able to determine this after working through your plan of study when you'll graduate. Your last semester, you'll want to announce your intention to graduate. So back to like Dr. Holliday, the class that you all had with him, you'll want to coordinate that with him, and you'll want to email him, say, hey, I'd like to graduate. I'll try to remind you, but that's an important thing. I'm sure each one of you will keep that on the front part of your cerebral cortex, like, hey, I do want to graduate this semester. When you get down to that last semester, you'll want to take the comprehensive exam, because you can't get your degree without passing your comprehensive exams. You'll want to, this would be the second thing to remember, if you remember anything that I say today. For your core classes, and we'll determine what those are in just a moment, you want to be sure to keep something. Something that tells you what you did, what you learned, whether it be a textbook, whether it be a lot of notes, because you'll want to come back at the end of the program and study. So you'll take individual counseling early on, right? You either want to keep your texts, your PowerPoint, something for you to go back, because individual counseling comprises 1/8 of the comprehensive exam. There's 12, 13 questions on that comprehensive exam that you'll want to get right. So those core classes, like individual, like group counseling, like ethics, that you're having very soon, like your statistics of assessment class you're enrolled in this fall. Keep the notes, because there'll be questions about those classes on your comprehensive exam in 2 years. You'd be surprised the number of students that come up, well, I didn't keep anything. We told you about it, I'm sorry. So please remember that. Please make a file, whether it's digital, whether it's at home, whether it's paper. Keep something from those core classes, because you'll have to go back and consult it at the end of the program. Questions there? I'm going to stop there in case you all have a question on that.
Just the core classes that we're taking that is going to apply to the LADC and the LPC.
So the five courses that are really applied to LADC, they're not necessarily on the multiple choice exam, but there's a caveat that you will be subject to some stuff on the written exam. So there's two things. You'll have 100 multiple choice question exam. And that's to help you with the IC and RC and the National Counselor exam to get you prepped, because that's how those are formatted that same way. The other half of your comprehensive exam is written. You'll get a vignette, you'll get a case study, and you'll have to apply your theory, whether, you know, and so your two, Tammy and Alicia, yours will be specifically addiction oriented. You know, you're going to get a case scenario of somebody with an addiction, and so you're going to have to apply what you learned throughout the whole program. That's harder to study for. That's more like you either know it or you don't at that point. So some of the other like experiential classes, you'll want to make sure that you, and you'll know it. I mean, we have people practice, reflect on it. You'll know it by then. I've in all the time that I've been here, which has been this will be my 5th year coming up. I've never had anybody not pass the exams eventually. I say eventually. I've had a few. I've had probably 5 or 6 that didn't pass in the first sitting. And if you don't pass in the first sitting, basically what we have done is give folks a chance to reflect on what they didn't do well on, and then show us somehow, usually that's through written work afterwards, show us somehow that they know it. You could have to sit for another oral if we really had concerns after that, but typically it's been either most people pass both of them. Occasionally you have a person not pass, but there's some remediation. It's basically to help you. It's not to keep you from getting a degree. It's to help you know what you need to do to pass your next exam and be successful as a counselor. So we want to make sure you've got that good knowledge stepping out in the field. After that, you'll have, like I said, you'll have an oral defense. If you didn't, there may be a chance that you didn't do well on written or multiple choice, but you just nail it in the oral defense, and you pass anyway. We're like, you didn't do so well on the written portion, but you knew what you're talking about because you told us in our exit interview. So there's multiple ways to pass. We just want to make sure you're ready when you get out there. At the end, you want to compile your transcript and apply for licensure candidacy. I have links, and I'll show you where to go after this. And that brings us to, have either of you looked at the MCP Student Blackboard course yet?
Some.
Let me go ahead and jump into that real quickly. This is where I try to communicate with all the students. So if I can bring it up. So like I sent out an email for this meeting to all the students, and not everybody came. There was only one other one. but here's Blackboard. And here is the MCP student class. So Alicia, you both have this, right? Okay. So you click on this, and you're welcome to just kind of go through and explore this. This is basically a page, a place where you have resources for your overall program. First off, I've got welcome here. I need to update these. But I do have some videos. I recorded them, last fall, but they all still apply. We haven't changed anything too much. It's all still the same process. You're welcome to watch those. We talked about forms. If you didn't get your graduate committee form from Dr. Holliday, here's a place to get it right here. So this is something you'll want to submit. This is what it looks like. It's just got your name, and then we'll get your signature down here. Your chair, I can't be your chair. I wish I could. I wish I had my doctorate complete. Hopefully that'll be next spring. But you'll either have to choose Dr. McMillan, Dr. Weidick, or Dr. Farrell to be your chair. Currently, you have to have a PhD level person to be your chair.
I think on that form that he gave us on Saturday, the Graduate Advisory Committee membership grid,
Yeah.
Is it MCP or MGP?
You are MCP,
Okay.
Master of Counseling Psychology. So
who would you, if you had to choose, who would you choose for the chair?
well, yeah, if I had my doctorate, I'd say choose me, but just because I'm clinical. So maybe you can switch, you know, if I can get this thing done and wrapped up in 8 months. So right now I would either choose Dr. Weidick or Dr. Farrell. And the reason I say that, Dr. McMillan is the dean of the Enid campus and doesn't really teach any of our graduate classes currently. So he does teach some undergraduate sections, but so I would include either Dr. Weidick or Dr. Farrell at this point.
I love Dr. Weidick. I had her my undergraduate, so
She'll be glad. She'll be glad to help. Honestly, she'll have more time at this point. Not that I'm just volunteering her time, you know, for freelance without asking her. As far as what Dr. Farrell has as chair and what I have as program coordinator here, she should be able to take a few students to chair their committee. And she is very, you know, she wants students to succeed. She's a strong advocate for students. So I know it's probably weird to reach out to somebody that you haven't met or don't know. That's just kind of, they expect it because we're down a faculty member right now. So it's okay. So you actually have a place to submit this. You don't have to mail it. Let me show you where you can submit it. So there's a place over here in this course where it says form submission. If you click on form submission, here is your graduate committee form. So this provides a safe place once you sign it, and I will upload it and deliver it to your committee members.
It was my understanding, do we need to email and ask first?
Yeah, I would email and ask first, so you get like a commitment before you write their names down. But yeah.
Okay.
And so once you get the so let's play that out. Let's say once you get here comes Nicole again. She must have had some connection issues. Hey Nicole, are you back? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yes, my internet just quit working and I couldn't get it back on, but I'm back now.
Okay. So if you want to catch up to us, we're in the MCP student Blackboard shell. It should be among your Blackboard courses listed under MCP student. This is pretty important, so I'll back up just a moment. So here's what it looks like under the home page. And so where I'm at is I'm going under forms. And this is the first form you'll want to submit as far as what you're required to do as a student, master's student. You'll pick your graduate committee. And so right now you only have 4 choices. You only have me, Dr. Farrell, Dr. Weidick, or Dr. McMillan. Please email and ask if they will be on your committee, whoever you choose. You'll have to choose one of the doctors to be your chair. I can't be your chair yet. Hopefully we'll have that done soon. After you get permission, you'll write their names in print and just print them in here. And then you'll upload them here on this website, on this Blackboard shell, where it says form submission. If you click on updated graduate committee form right here, you can upload it and then I'll distribute it amongst the faculty. That way you don't have to run around trying to get signatures. Okay, but just make sure, like Tammy said, make sure you get an email confirmation. So you can attach, you can see it says browse my computer. You can attach and upload the file right here. Okay, so that's one of your forms. Secondly, during the fall semester, you'll want to finalize your graduate plan of study. And so it's a little tricky. For LADCs, you all are the first one, Tammy and Alicia. You'll want to download this form and work your way using this one. Nicole, you're LPC only, so you'll want to choose the last form on here, Master of Counseling Psychology LPC, Plan of Study. So what you do if you, because I have 2 LADCs, I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. So if you click on it, you'll get a Word document. This is the LADC. There's part of my dissertation right there. And so this is what the plan of study looks like. And it's formatted to where you can just type in the boxes. So let's work with Tammy since she appears first on my screen. So if I was going to work through Tammy's plan of study, I don't have her student number. I'm not going to put it up there. But each one of you have already taken this graduate study seminar. So that would be on each one of your plans of study. Summer 2020. Now, the biggest thing, what I told you all earlier, make sure you get in individual counseling as soon as possible. I always, when I do a plan of study, I always make sure this is on there as soon as you can take it. So this will be, if it'll type, fall of 2020. The follow-up course to individual counseling is counseling strategies and techniques. See, it had to have this prerequisite. That for every one of you should say spring of 2020. Next, I would recommend that you all take group counseling next. And I would put this on your summer. Oh, whoops, sorry. Spring of 2021. Can't go back in time and take it, sorry. And then for group counseling, I would take that right after your counseling strategies. For your supervised experience, you want to take that in the fall. Then your first semester practicum will be.
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
It says on the group counseling, you have to take the prerequisite of 5863 or be concurrent. So you can technically take both of those at the same time.
Technically, yes.
But do you suggest that? Is it better to take this one and then take the next one?
I'm giving you my preference. My preference is that you take
Okay.
this class first and then go into group.
Okay.
The reason for that, this class gives you basic counseling skills. You'll need basic counseling skills to do group counseling. So I'm giving you my preference. You have flexibility to take group when you want, after you take individual. But these 5 classes, remember the 5 classes on that slide, that one, the important slide I said to remember? I'm putting these down now, and then we'll work the rest of the schedule around those. This last practicum, I would suggest taking in the summer of 2021. Oh, wait, I need to, whoa. I need to update my years. Sorry. My mind is not following. So these 5 then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all in consecutive semesters. Fall 20, spring 21. Fall 21, spring 22. Summer 22. If you can fit in the rest of your hours, you could graduate in the summer of 2022. No? I see a shake of head. It's okay. I mean, if that's like ideal situation, okay? Okay. Now,
Is that basically taking three courses per semester other than summer?
yeah.
What if you take 4?
So 4 is challenging. You can. I would still put, even if you take 4, looking at summer of 2022 because of this course progression right here.
Okay.
Needing to take the prerequisites. So basically 2 years, 2 1/3 years. That makes sense. Okay. Let's see here. And so all of your addiction studies are for those of you that are LADC, you'll have to take every one of these electives. Just find a place where they fit in your schedule, and here's where you can find that. You're like, I don't know when these classes are. How are you just pulling this out of your head, Taylor? Our course rotations are on here to help you with your plan of study. And so we have it to where ethics every fall, every spring. Human growth and development every fall, every spring. Those are cheap classes. I mean, I guess you say cheap because they're offered every time. They're not cheaper economically. They're cheaper like time-wise. So you can, just make them work when you can. Assessment achievement offered every spring, every summer. But you'll notice most classes are either fall, spring, or summer. Practicum is the only class we offer every semester, just because I know people want to get done. They got to get done. They're practicing. And research is offered every semester. Okay, so use this to your advantage when you're making your plan of study. It's up here under forms, under course rotations. So that'll help you formulate your plans of study. Okay, I'm going to move on, and then we'll come back to questions in just a minute. So more on this site. I do have resources for you. So I have information about putting together plans of study, kind of what we're doing right here. You can enroll yourselves. So once you get your plans of study approved, last thing, plans of study. You'll want to submit those to me. Once you get them all taken care of, you'll see that there's right where you submitted your graduate committee form, you can upload your plan of study just like you would an assignment. That way you've got it documented. Hey, Taylor, I've got this done August the 1st. I know what I want to take the next 2 years so I can get out of here and practice and be a counselor. Okay, so you'll have 2 things that you'll upload to me using this Blackboard shell. Under form submission, that's your plan of study, your graduate committee form. Okay, as I was going to move on, you have a lot of resources. I've got some videos here. Once you get toward the end, I've got a quick video about what to do toward licensure. I have licensure web links here on the MCP student. So once you're done with our program or getting close, I've got the LPC packet, the information to take the ethics test for LPC. I've got your official LADC forms right here. The link for the National Counselor exam. The reason I don't have the IC and RC exam is just most people need to go get hours. So Alicia and Tammy, if you get all your hours done while you're in school, let me know and we'll get that link up here. So just a lot of resources on here. every once in a while I'll put some job opportunities up there. I don't know whether Department of Rehabilitation Services is still looking, but it's very competitive, 52,000 a year. I know right now Catalyst here in Enid is offering 50,000 to start. So there are some decent paying jobs out there. I do have some other resources. A lot of people get confused between sympathy and empathy. So I have a couple of things here. And if you feel like I'm a complete imposter, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Most counselors feel like that when they start. I have a link to an article that you can read. So I'll try to put stuff up here invariably to help people where they're at. Comprehensive exams. I need to update this. So when fall of 20 comes around, typically it's the first week of October or the first week of March. You want to make sure you let us know, hey, I want to sit for, or wait, no. Usually that's usually when the exams are held, is the first week of March and first week of October. You want to let us know at the beginning part of the semester, hey, I want to sit for my test. Sorry about that. And here's that application for a master's degree that you can send off to Dr. Holliday. Hey, I want to get my degree. I'm about done. So I have a lot of information. Here's another link for job openings, job opportunities. If it'll come up.
You're frozen.
Oh,
I was
no.
like, yeah, you froze.
Oh no, what was the last thing I said?
About telling them to sit for our graduate exam.
Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, just make sure that at the beginning part of the semester, when you're finishing up, that you let us know, hey, I want to sit for the exam. I'll generally try to keep track with you, and I'm sure you'll know. The big caveat there is we don't offer comps in the summer. So you have to sit. So if you're going to graduate in the summer, make sure you sit for them in the spring. Okay, so that's the MCP student site. There's a lot of stuff under there. In reality, there are actually 4 different tracks. So I mentioned this now in case life happens and something happens where you couldn't finish. I've had a handful of students, probably 4, have to do this. So we actually have 4 different tracks. Everybody here is either doing LPC or the combined dual track. You can actually do LADC only. You only have to have 54 hours. Most people, once you get to 54 hours, you're like, I might as well get 60 to get both licenses. Don't have too many people do that. I definitely did that when I was going through. We have a 48-hour option. And so I've had some students that have had kids during their program and or life circumstances having to take care of parents. And so you can get a degree, you can get a Master's of Counseling Psychology degree with 48 hours. And to my knowledge, we're the only university that's able to do this in the state because we have an agreement with the licensure board because our classes all meet criteria for licensure. You can get that degree, and then when you have time, come back and finish those last 4 classes, get 60 hours, and you can still get licensed. Okay, so just be aware hey, I just need to get a degree. Some people I've had some people get a job in social services, child welfare, and they just needed a master's. And so they got that 48-hour master's degree, and it helped them get a more competitive job. But then they came back a couple of years later like, yeah, I want to get licensed. So they were able to do that. So just in case, I wanted to share that, just in case something happens along the way where, hey, I might need to switch. You don't have to switch programs. We'll just take that. We'll switch your plan of study to the 48-hour track. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop my recording and I'm going to ask